Hello, welcome to Tony's LPSRUS. Today's little segment is a happy birthday to the ocean child, Yoko Ono Lennon, John Lennon's wife. Yoko is 90. She was born on February 18th, 1933 in Tokyo, Japan. As you know, she's an artist, multimedia singer, filmmaker, author, designer, what else? Feminist, etc., etc. She's done it all. I'm not an expert on Yoko, um, but I've always appreciated Yoko. I know there's a lot of Yoko people out there, Yoko people haters that say she broke up the Beatles and all that other stuff, which we really know isn't true. John was on his own trajectory, and he ended up going his own way. Paul went his own way. John went his. George went their own way, and Ringo. But I don't believe Yoko was the force behind that. And I never really hated Yoko's vocals. I always take them with the intent that she sang. She sang in a free jazz style, which I believe the world caught up with her later. She may have been influenced by jazz singers. I know John actually, when he heard Rock Lobster from the B-52s, he thought, it sounds a little bit like Yoko's vocals. And later on, he found out that the B-52s were a fan of Yoko and were influenced by Yoko. So, and I believe Yoko actually collaborated with them later on after John passed away. So there's a lot going on in Yoko's world. As you know, she's still kicking. She's still doing it up. She's still very vibrant. She's her in her own right. She's a musical artist. She has an incredible legacy on her own as far as dance music. She has 13 number one singles on the U.S. dance charts. She was on Double Fantasy with John, which won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year. She also sang lead on the continuing story of Bungalow Bill on the White Album. I believe she was maybe in the background for Birthday and one other song on the White Album, which was Revolution #9, which she collaborated with John. So she's all in that. That takes up half a side of an album. She was also in the studio during Let It Be. She was in the studio during Abbey Road. I believe John actually had a bed in there. It was right after their little car accident that they had, either in Scotland or England or Scotland or Ireland, most likely Scotland. And John brought a bed in there so she could hang out. She was, of course, on the White Album, which I just talked about. So I'm just going to show some of her work, some of her collaboration with John. I also have a bunch of 45s and going to do a little bit of tea. One of my YouTubers that I always go to is Derek Vaughn. Derek's been on YouTube vinyl community for probably 10 years. I don't know, but he's such a cool guy. He's out in the Midwest, I believe, and he does a morning coffee, and he does his little spiel. He's just a great guy, and I want to just do a shout out to Derek. And Derek, I'm trying to pick up some of your vibe. I know that's impossible. You're so comfortable talking to people, and people really like what you're saying. I'm just going to show some of my records and talk about some of the things that I picked up through the years of collecting. And I have some great stories about some of these Yoko Ono records that I'm going to show on Apple. So once again, happy 90th birthday, Jindan, to Yoko. And I hope she's having a great time right now in the city or wherever she is. These aren't in any order. I'm going to show some 45s first that I have. Here's Power to the People. This is this Flip Side, Touch Me. That's the single with John, and that's on Apple. Here's the record devoted to her, and she's actually on the photo, The Ballad of John and Yoko, which is unbelievable, and Oh Brown Shoe on the flip. And you can see Yoko there. You probably didn't even know she was on this. I wasn't really aware of it until I started doing research on this. These are some of my Beatles singles. Here I have Nobody Told Me. And the flip side is Oh Sanity, Yoko Ono. And when Yoko was in the studio, I looked through some of the liner notes. She was actually recording in the city. It was all mastered either at, what was it, the Cutting Room, or a major studio in just major engineers, major cutting engineers to cut the actual lacquer from the tape. She used the same studio musicians that John used, all top name guys like Kelter and people like that, Jim Spinoza. Here's Beautiful Boys. Yoko's on that, Woman, and that's on Geffen from the Devil Fantasy record. And here I have a green Happy Christmas, War is Over, and Listen, the Snow is Falling, which is written by Yoko, solo Yoko. And here's the Apple sleeve. Another single that pulled was Instant Karma, We All Shine On, John Ono Lennon. And the flip side is Who Has Seen the Wind, Yoko Ono Lennon with the Plastic Ono Band. This is, it's funny, one side says loud and her side says soft. I don't know if you could see that single there. That's a nice one. And I'm going to go to some albums or 12-inch records, LPs. This is It's All Right, Yoko Ono. This is a great record. Sounds really good. It's on Polygram. There's a nice, very sad photo to see John as watching over them, and her and Sean. This gives me the chills. This is pretty sad. And here's the liner notes with the lyrics and the Polygram, Polydor. It's All Right. So Yoko has her own legacy. Here's a great one. It's one of my favorite Lennon albums. Sometime in New York City with Yoko. And I think this has been reissued. This is an original. This came with an insert. You could actually, some Mothers of Invention on here. I believe a live jam. This is, and there was an insert. If I could find it, maybe it's not in this particular copy. Yeah, this is the insert. New Army Pay Raise, Fit to Die. This is an anti-war album. This is the original inner sleeve. You don't. If you see these in a while, these are usually not here. And you can see Join the Professionals. John actually signed that. John had such a great wit. I love watching his interviews with Yoko on Dick Cavett, Mike Douglas, shows like that. Of course, the famous, if you haven't picked it up, the famous Playboy interview. Here's an album the albums that came out simultaneously. One's featuring Yoko and one's featuring John. And if you can see, the images on the cover are reversed. Yoko is on his lap and John is on her lap. And they're both on each other's records here, of course. This is a great album in itself. This is the Purple Capitol. And here's the liner on here for John. It's John in vocals, John in guitar, Yoko vocals, Ringo Starr drums, Klaus Vormann bass, Ornette Coleman trumpet, Edward Blackwell drums, David Zenson bass, Charles Hayden bass. And this is unbelievable. This is it says Salad by Mal Evans, published by Ono Music. And this is an Apple. I also have an Apple with the from the John version. Here's Elephant's Memory, which Yoko and John are on. John's band at the time. Here's their inner, or gatefold. It's really cool to go through this stuff. And the reason I did this is obviously I read today that was Yoko's birthday. Here's an Apple, and that's the inner. And like I said, if you go through the liner notes on here, it's all, besides the plastic, the Elephant's Memory, it's just top studio musicians in there from New York. Here's Double Fantasy, a promo copy. And this has the hype sticker, just like Starting Over, right there. Here's one of my favorite Lennon albums, Mind Games. This says a Capra reissue. I also have one of the first issues. And there's a Yoko there. And that's her, I forget what it is named in Japanese, but that's her stamp there, or John's stamp. Maybe her stamp and John's stamp right there. I have some artwork that she sold. Yoko would go to galleries every year in major cities and sell John's artwork in framed, lithos of that artwork. And her chop, I think it is, her chop is on those. And that's a green capital. Here's a great one. I'm just going to show it with the cover on it. 2 versions. You all heard about this. This is an original. It's got the stuff on the back. This was bought, must have bought this at a used record shop for $24. 2 versions. I have a few of these. That's on Apple or maybe Zapple. I'm not sure. I want to pull it out right now. Here's a great one, Milk and Honey. It's almost a sequel to the one Starting Over. Picture in New York with, I believe, the Dakota in the background, Central Park. And that's a great photo. On Polydor. Here's a Japanese pressing of that from my brother-in-law, Big John. Gave me this for Christmas one year. Known as a big John fan. And this is here's Live Piece in Toronto, which Yoko Ono, Eric Clapton, Klaus Vorman, Alan White. And Yoko does Don't Worry, Yoko. Mommy's Only Looking for Her Hand in the Snow. And John, Let's Hope It's Peace. This is on Apple. Produced by John and Yoko Bear Productions. This is a great one. Doesn't sound, it sounds super. They just played songs that they knew. I think they actually rehearsed on the plane going over to Toronto. John called up a few of his pals, Eric Clapton, Klaus. Here's a good one. One of her first solo albums, Feeling the Space with the Plastic Ono Band. That's Yoko. And I like these albums. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a Yoko expert. I don't know what she's trying to do. She's maybe trying to be a jazz vocalist here, but she was ahead of her time, and I don't mind her. As far as I'm concerned, John loved her, and that's enough for me. I really stick up for her when other folks will say, oh, she's terrible, she's this and that, and she broke up the Beatles. I said, look, it was John's wife. He stuck with her, except for that little period of time when he was with May Pang. He was hanging out with Nielsen over in California. It was his soulmate. So that's good enough for me. And here's the back. And it's interesting. note on here what I'm going to read. Let me see. This is the start of the liner notes written by Yoko. It says here, let me see here. It says, a man came up to me and said, may I shake hands with the hands that shook hands with John Lennon? I said, well, we've done a lot of things in our time, but we haven't got around to doing that yet. So what are you going to do about it? He just mumbled and sort of shook my hand anyway. So that's her sense of humor too, you know. And I've said that if I ever meet her, I probably would say that. We were looking for her at those John Lennon events that used to happen. They were annual. I'm not sure if they're still going on, but once in a while Yoko would show up at those in New York, and a few times I went. I missed her. Here's another one, a double. It's a double gatefold. Fly Yoko Ono. This has a poster in it. This record's rather good. It's really recorded well. And I'll show you the poster. Poster's really nice. It's brand new in the box, as we say. And you can see the images there, John and her. Really nice. I'm not sure who the photographer is. I could find out if you got a second. I'll check it out if I could read these little prints here. But alas, it's on the inner. Has a custom inners with artwork by Yoko or John. This is Yoko's artwork. And one song's Miss Summer, New York, Mine Train, Mrs. Lennon. Don't Worry, Yoko is on here. Mine Holes. And these are on Apple. And let's see. Inner sleeve drawing and design by Yoko Ono. I'm not sure who took the photo. That's the Apple. These are mint. Funny story about these records. As you know, I worked in a record shop in college and high school. And we used to go to this one step. It was called a one step because I guess it distributed records, tapes, posters, videos, whatever was available at that time, cassettes and 8-tracks. So it was a one stop. You go there, fill your order, new stuff, used stuff. But they had cutouts. And we went there with my boss Jay. Him and I went with his car. He always had a new caddy, so we took the caddy out. It's probably a 73 or 74 caddy. It was pretty big, and we went over to Sutton Records, which was located in a few towns over, I believe, in Rahway, right by the prison, right by Rahway State Prison, which is now called East Jersey State Prison. No more Rahway State Prison. So we go there to buy cutouts, and he would buy cutouts for $1 or whatever, and we would sell them for $1.99. They were stuck. We had stickers on them on the shrink, and that was the time when Apple was defunct, and they were cutting out all of Apple records because you couldn't send them back to Apple if you had overstock. So they punched them or they cut them, and they were cutouts. So they had the entire Apple catalog there, except for Beatles. The Beatles were separate, but they had Doris Troy, they had Badfinger, the Yoko Onos, whoever else was on Apple at the time. So I was able to I ended up getting a couple of each, and I kept some sealed, and I opened some. So I have the Yoko Ono sealed, and I have them open. Here's a Fly sealed. This is really nice. This is mint all the way around. It's not even a cut. It's not even cut. They were just in the cutout racks because they were getting rid of all the Apple stuff. So that's just there at the time. I wasn't a Yoko Ono fan at the time, but I was a collector at the time. So obviously I had a nice opportunity to pick up some Yoko Ono records for $1, for $1 at cost. My last record before I get to my highlight of OG pressings with sound qualities that are really audiophile, that really can make your system show off. A Shaved Fish, the greatest hits, John Lennon with the Plastic Ono Band. And you can see up top is a picture of her and John, Yoko and John. And the reason I brought this out last is I played this the other day, and Give Peace a Chance. I believe it's a different mix. It's really worth listening to, and let me know what you think. This has everything on it: Cold Turkey, Instant Karma, Power to the People, Mother, Woman, Imagine, Whatever Gets You Through the Night, Mind Games, Number 9 Dream, Happy Christmas, War is Over, and a reprise of Give Peace a Chance. So this is a really great pickup. I've had this for years. This is a purple Capital, but if you can play the first track, Give Peace a Chance, it's just amazing. I played it for a few of my audiophile pals, and they said the same thing. I haven't heard it that way. So I'm going to go over to the TV, and here I just have a sticker here. Nancy Sinatra's Best promo sticker for greatest hits of Nancy Sinatra. But here's the record I was saying. Sounds great. Walls and Bridges, unbelievable. And here's the inner. That's the original inner. It comes with a nice, really nice booklet of John's art when he was a young boy, similar to what the cover is. It's really cool stuff. And Yoko's on this album. And this is an Apple. So, but check this out. That's an audiophile sounding record. Most of John records are all pedigreed in New York. Great musicians, great mastering, whether it be Capaldi, Phil Spector, engineers wise, mastering wise, record plant, cutting room, whatever have you in New York with the different name changes in these studios. But of course, it's John Lennon. He's got the top. So happy birthday, Yoko. Jindan, as we say, and keep rocking. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any comments, any other comments about Yoko, please, no disparaging comments about Yoko. I know there's not a lot of Yoko people out there, or Yoko friends of Yoko maybe, but I think through the years, she's proven herself. Like I said, number one hits. She's been involved with about 14 or more albums, either with John or solo. I'm sure she's done work with Sean. Sean's a recording artist. So keep rocking, Yoko. Ocean Child, which is her name in Japanese, translates here to Ocean Child. So it's happy birthday, Ocean Child. More, keep rocking, and we'll see you soon. I hope you like this little segment. Thank you. Keep rocking.